who we are. So let's figure out what is the solution to these problems. So before we get started, I'm just gonna give you guys a maybe 1% faith increaser of this information. This is a historical picture of Israelites, clearly, with Chaldean soldiers. And so this is a picture that was um, painted in the 11th century. And this was before they started changing the images, to making everything white, you know, which to me I think is a psychological issue. But this is just a picture that you can kind of look for this yourselves if you want to. There's a lot of them out there. I'll probably share some with you guys as time goes on. But just a little fun fact for you. So, what is the solution? People say we are not under the law. So let's see what the Bible says. Specifically, the Israelites. This is for the Israelites. Um, if you know anything about the Israelite history, every time they made God mad, He sent them into captivity to serve their enemies. Even though the generation of those Israelites weren't even alive when they made the covenant with God, they were still born into the covenant. So, and this is what we're going to read right now. Deuteronomy 29. But you are not the only ones with whom I am making this covenant with its curses. I am making this covenant both with you who stand here today in the presence of the Lord our God, and also with future generations who are not standing here. So that clearly states that God made this covenant with, not only the people who were there at the time when they made the covenant, but with their future generations, the people who wasn't even born yet. So it's something you're born into. You cannot get out of it. Sorry, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news for you, but that's the case. Now let's see what the Messiah says about this situation. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 24. And it reads, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. This is talking about the Israelites. And shall be led away captive into all nations. So we just stop right there. There's only one nation of people who were led away captive into all nations. Now, if you can think of any other group or race of people who was led away captive into all nations besides our people, the African Americans, the Afro Caribbeans, Afro every nation, we are in every nation, and we were led away captive into all nations. The people who currently inhabit the land of Israel today were not led away captive into all nations. So clearly, this doesn't fit them, but it fits us completely. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Hence, you got the people in the land today, they are the Jews, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So, he is clearly saying these curses will follow Israel even after his death. So people say after Christ died, the curses just automatically just go away. But this clearly showing, he's clearly giving the certain curses to the Israelites. These are the same curses that are in Deuteronomy 28. Falling by the edge of the sword, being led away captive into all nations, not being able to possess your land, other nations taking over everything that you have in your land. Those are curses. And those curses happened after his death. So apparently we are still under the law, under the blessings and the curses. And if you can read that in Deuteronomy 28, 54, and 68, and also other verses, which we went over Deuteronomy already. So now this is after the Messiah died. So, I mean, I don't know how much more information you need at this point, but we're going to continue on anyway. Now, the one thing that we have to learn is that other nations of people know this. They know who we are. We're the ones that are clueless. The other people, like, the low level people in society, they believe Jesus is white, Jews are white. Those are the low level people in society. But, higher up people, people who study, people who have more common sense, they already know this stuff, especially the elites of the countries. They know who we are because it's all in history. So the reason why that's important that they know who we are is what we're going to read here. And this is Judith chapter 5, verse 20 to 21. And once again, this is in the Apocrypha, which you can go back to the previous video to understand the Apocrypha, which I touched on. Verse 20. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. So the nations know, if we can get them to sin against their God, this will be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome it. So this is the counsel for the nations that the nations have with each other. Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in them, in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So this is very important because the problem is we've been taught that we have been taught that we don't have to keep God's commandments, and we can sin against God. Oh, He's going to forgive us. It doesn't matter what. We've been taught that by these other nations, and this is why they are able to still be on top of us. And so this is very important that we understand this because they already understand it. So now it says if we do what's right and we don't sin against our God, we come back, which you're going to go over soon, then they will not be able to do all that they have done to us and oppress us the way they have. So it's very important, right? So let's continue. Who is influencing black people to sin today? The church and hip hop. Now, the church is doing this because the churches are man-made religions, and these religions were made by our oppressors. So our oppressors have brought down the teachings of, basically being liberal, not having to keep any commandments. We can do what we want to do, and this is so detrimental to the Israelites because you see what type of condition we are in now, and so the churches are not able to fix these conditions that we are in, and so you see how it's a lie, and that's nothing. It's doing nothing for our people. Our people are still having tremendous amount of trouble. So, and hip hop is another one. This is an example of influencing our people to sin against God, and we're going to explain that. Now, for example, let's go to Universal Music. This is it's going to explain. I'm going to start reading where I highlight. He says the biggest music company in the world. It is one of the big three record labels, along with Sony and Warner. So let's see. So this Universal Music, I'm pretty sure most of y'all have heard of this. Let's see who is over this. Who is the owner or even the founder. Let's see. Let's see the CEO, Lucien Green. I don't know. Let's see. So this is who this person is. So these people. This is a Edomite, by the way. These people are over these music, all the music and different things that come out, and they are over these things that is basically influencing our people to do the wrong things. This is a person. So what these people do is they find the simple-minded of our people who are very covetous for money, and they hire them and get them to be basically a coon and a puppet for them to basically influence our people to do evil, and we follow evil and continuing in the madness that they portray. So we were portrayed a certain way because of the leaders, the people who are working for these people, and he was raised Jewish. So of course, Jewish keyword. All right. Another example is the record label called Empire. The person who this was founded by was Gehazi Shami. Right? So let's see who this is. This is this person right here. This person, this is the founder. So a person from another nation is a founder. Now, key people who this person has offered deals to are this person, which I'm sure a lot of young people might know who this is. This is King Von, and this is also Young Dolph. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because both of these two guys, King Von and Young Dolph, are dead. Why? Because of violence. And this guy gives people like these two deals to basically be influencers to black people. Black people, we buy their music. We watch everything they do, anything in their songs, and we listen to it. We learn about heart. So whatever they do, it's the same actions that our people do, right? So this is the problem. These two guys are dead. So the same actions that they did, we're going to do, and that's why we kill each other in the streets. We listen to their music. Now let's get a song lyric. Let's get some lyrics from this guy on the left, the dreads, King Von. Keep in mind, both these guys are dead. Let's see. I'm just gonna read some of these lyrics, just a little bit. It's pretty wild, so you can see why what happened to him happened. Let's see. Where do I want to be? Okay, here we go. All right. So right here, I'm going to start right here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Right. Okay. Yelling by the beat. Starting here. Picked up a brick. He merged it on brick and threw it at my whip. So some guy threw a brick at his car. Slang. Good word. Now I'm like, S word. I hopped out so quick. Then I raised my blick. It's done and I don't miss. So his action in turn is to let's kill this person who threw a brick at my car. I let off 2 shots. I hit him in his S word. Now, Vaughn, think quick what you finna do. So he just committed murder. That's what he just broke that commandment. All right, and this probably is a real story. You live by a sword, you die by a sword. Cause this gonna make the news. Gotta make your moves. Told that B get in, cause she looking confused. So this is some random girl that he got with. I think it was. So the girl that he's with is the original girl of the guy that he just shot, basically. So that's another commandment that he broke, is adultery. No, so he murdered and committed adultery. Both of those two are actually in the law worthy of death. So you see what happens. So he said, I broke the rules because this B word, a witness. Plus I just popped through, but she ain't crying. Plus this hoe was smiling, and this B word looked cute. So this is the type of women that also is teaching our women to be like this too. B words, you know, H-O, ho, smiling because she ain't even crying that he shot her man. He said she was smiling. So you see how this is making our people so evil. But this like I said, this is the type of people that they want to influence our people. So we slide out. I'm checking my mirrors. Made it to the house. Told her hop out. She said that she hungry. I knocked back, no doubt. I know you mad because I smoked your mans. Basically killed the man. Left him on the curb. She started laughing. She said, F that N-word. He from 63rd. All right. So, once again, you see the type of music that this guy wants to sign. He wants to sign people with this type of music, and he wants people to listen to this. So, they gotta be, as long as they're rapping like these guys, that's the ones I'm gonna sign and make a deal with. And in turn, the guy making the song dies, and the people listening to the song, they're going back and forth killing each other. So I mean, it's a sad story, but this is what's going on. And also, let's go back to this right here. So this is a rapper called, his name was Mo3. He also died. And same thing, gun violence. So we see these people are influencing our people to basically kill each other, break all the commandments. And what is the result? So how is that getting us anywhere? And so the church and hip hop are running the same and teaching you to break God's commandments, break God's laws. And what happens at the end of that? Death. So now, let's see, what do we need to do to fix this. Hope you guys can read that. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30, and I'm starting at this left top box. Verse 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee. So basically now we're experiencing the curses. And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. So when we're among the nations, like we are now, in captivity, the land of our captivity, not in our own land, we will remember these things. This is what we're doing right now. Whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee or scattered thee, and shall return to the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, keeping his commandments, thou and thy children with all thy heart, with all thy soul. Then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity. So he will take us out of captivity once we do what? obey his voice according to all that he commands us to keep his commandments, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Lord thy God hath scattered. And so this is prophetic because we are in all the nations. Like Christ said, we will be led away captive in all nations. And so this is what we have to do to uh, to be saved out of this situation. If any of thine be driven out to the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy father. And so God is going to bring us back to our homeland. And this has to happen. I know this hasn't been the church has been taught that we just go straight to heaven, but we got a lot of study. Okay, so let's continue on. Jeremiah 29. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, said the Lord. So that's what we have to do as Israelites. And it says, I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations. So you see how it's a trend that we will be. Everything that we're reading is a trend that's saying that we're going to be in the land of our captivity amongst all nations. And the people in that land claiming to be us they do not fit these prophecies. And this is why the churches cannot break down prophecies. This is why you probably never read this before, because if you don't know who the true people are, then you cannot understand what this is saying. And from all the places whither I have driven you, said the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive. There you go. And so it says, so the prerequisites for this to happen is that we seek him with all our heart and come back and keep his commandments like he commanded us. And he will do his part. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 6. So this is a scenario that King Solomon, which is really prophetic, he prayed to God. We're getting ready to read here. Let's see what he said. And if thy people Israel be put to the worst before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall return and confess thy name, and pray and make supplication before thee in this house, then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of thy people Israel, and bring them again unto the land which thou gavest to them and to their fathers. So he said, if we pray and make supplication when we be put to the worst before the enemy, right, which is what's going on now, and it says he will forgive us and bring us again to the land. Verse 36. If they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, because that is a part of the curses. When we make God angry, he delivers us to the enemies. And they carry them away captives unto a land far or near, which has happened. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land where they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, which is what we're reading, we turn and pray to God in the land of our captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss and dealt wickedly. If they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, which we are in now, whether they have carried them captive, and pray toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the land of Israel, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I built for thy name. Verse 39. Then hear from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. So that was Solomon's prayer. Now let's see what God answered to that. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 12. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night, and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer, and have chosen this place to myself for an house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. So God, this is what we have to do as a people. And so you guys can feel free to go back and watch the video again. This is very serious stuff that we're dealing with here. And I hope you guys learned a lot. Also, stop listening to bad music. Stop listening to people saying you don't have to keep the laws and God's laws and commandments, because we clearly see when we don't do it. Look at the position that our people are in as a whole. This is not an individual thing here. This is a nation, a whole nation being punished and being shown as the lowest in the earth. So let's take heed and keep God's commandments. Ask for repentance. We can do that individually and pray for our people that He will save and deliver us and have faith. And until the next time.